Hi guys, a very warm welcome to the Niels van Roij Design channel and welcome to this third video on the design of Silver Spectre Shooting Brake. Today we're gonna look at getting the ideation sketches, these rough and ready first initial ideas on paper, into slightly more presentable, slightly more tuned down, slightly more on package sketches. So not really renderings, but a lot more presentable, a lot more readable for the client. And let me just take you through the very first sketch you see here. So all these little remarks here and there, where I say, there's a roof line fit in and out, a little bit more crown on the roof, a facade on the top running around the window with two buttresses on the side. You see that the final car has quite a lot to do with this sketch made in 2018, so 2 years ago already. This hard curve on the boot lid, can't really call it a spoiler. It's not a spoiler, but it's obviously referred to as a spoiler often. It's a change in direction of the surface on the boot, just to give it a bit more crispness, a bit more feeling of volume, defined volume, a precise volume, just pinching it a little bit. But you see, it's nowhere near where it needs to be. The window runs around the corner towards the C pillar a bit too softly. We still have the OEM number plate emboss with above that the chrome element, OEM on this sketch entirely. Also the entire lower end of the boot lid, so the shut line in between the tail lights is OEM on this sketch. And we actually decided later on to completely change that, to make the boot lid softer as well. So you see there's quite an angle in the boot area of the car here. We decided to make that a lot softer. Remember the Silver Cloud 2 that I showed you? That car, but many other important British limousines were really key in establishing the overall look and feel, if you like, of the car. So there's, just to ensure everybody, there's no copying there. I'm not directly applying the graphics of this car and the shut line of that car and the surfacing of that car. It's way more holistic. So it's about zooming out, trying to analyze what makes a specific car a specific car. Just to give you an example, the round headlights of a Porsche 911, they don't make the 911 because there are many cars with rounded headlights. The fact that Bentley features a mesh grille on many of their cars doesn't make any car with a mesh grille automatically a Bentley. A Jag XJR, they had mesh grilles, very different car. So it's not just individual elements, it's the way all these instruments work together. It's truly the orchestra of the instruments. So the instruments are the graphics, the headlights, the materials, the surfacing, the jewelry, the proportions, everything, and how it works together and how that's conducted. That tells you something about the car. So the creative process, the car design process for car design for coach building, is really that search to this this piece, right? So it's a classical music piece. It's not just written immediately from beginning to end, rewritten, if you like, time and time again to perfection, and that is what car design is as well. You will never get it in the first sketch or the second or the 10th or even the 50th or the 100th sketch. You keep on improving and iterating, and you see the same here. We're talking about the crown in the roof, how the roof runs towards the rear end, so the tailgate with a hard curve on the top, with the two buttresses on the side where the glass is being pushed in. But you can still see that the window graphic is way too flat. It's too stiff, if you like. It should have a bit more crown in the middle, so the outer edges are pushed down, if you like, and the middle of the window is pushed up, so you get a bit more crown, which allows a bit more volume for the roof, and it just looks a lot more pleasant. You know, this side view was more or less the key sketch, I would say, that you know, really shows the essence of what we did in the end. The window in this sketch is still running around the side of the car quite a lot, but you know, most of the other features are there, you know, initially. Not as well resolved as the final car is, but you can see the heavy C-pillar, very important in my view. A heavy chrome element around it, again, important in my view, because it links to heritage. It shows this protective side, if you like, that a lot of classic English cars feature. It gives some attitude to the car, and it is actually, if you would walk around the car, and that's very hard to convey in photos or even in movies, but if you stand next to Silver Spectre Shooting Brake, it doesn't look as heavy, let's say, or as flat as it might appear on the sketch, because the roof is so rounded, it's so soft. There's a lot of volume taken out of the length of the rear end. So walking around the car is actually quite something different than seeing photos of it. But nevertheless, a very deliberate choice for this heavy C-pillar, through which I think, like I said, we show heritage, we push that heritage into the future, and we show attitude. An entirely new side graphic, you know, some really proper engineering that I took to completely redevelop the entire top end of that car, but for good reasons, I believe. So the rear end, in this case with the OEM emboss that I just talked about a bit earlier, you can see all the different little points that I'm writing for the coach builder in this case that took the sketches into CAD. They have the experts to do the CAD work that goes into 3D. I'm the one who is directing, let's say, helping, judging their work. So it remains this consistent piece of design throughout, interior, exterior, and exterior from all different angles. So many of these sketches are being made, some with smaller changes, some with bigger changes. Like I said, we still tried that emboss of the rear bumper that I referred to in the previous videos as well. So really see how that changes the entire rear end of the car. Very clean, very rich in its surfacing. But in the end we decided it was a bit too droopy, a little bit too classical, too old-fashioned if you like, or too retrospective. So we ditched that idea, and what we did in the end is basically very close to this. So you see a bootlet that is running down up until the bumper. It's an OEM bumper in the end. We decided to not change it, but we had many different options to actually change the bumper as well. There's this lovely facet right on top of the number plate emboss. It's very hard to spot, but you can see it in this sketch, and it's hard to spot in the car as well, but it just allows this reflection from the floor to the bottom of the car, which I think works very well because it gives some volume to the lower edge of that emboss. So it allows a little bit of volume to that, and it doesn't need a chrome strip anymore running there. You know, it's just a surface change there, the light that it's catching, and the horizontal feeling that this crisp line, very subtly but very crisp line at the bottom of that bootlet and the top of that emboss. It really allows, you know, this little bit of magic into the design. On the top of the bootlet you see that little line, which again I said it's not really a spoiler. It doesn't function as a spoiler, but it functions to get a very soft boot, a little bit of a shape definition, form definition. And then you see these two flying buttresses left and right of the car, basically left and right of the window that in itself is pushed in. And of course this is not the final design yet. You can still see I'm searching for the way, you know, how to let the curves flow around the roof, where to put the shut line. You know, these are all very important questions that weren't answered yet in this sketch. Nevertheless, you can see we're getting there, and that's important. You know, we do some small experiments. Are we actually not in need of a chrome strip, or do we need a chrome strip? You know, like in the end I decided to not do it, but we experimented with that, some nice definition of the boot lid there as well. And you know, these are very helpful sketches to make for the coach builder and for the client, but most important of all, it's an enormous amount of fun. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of this video, and I'll see you for the next one.